Hi everyone, my name is Elaine, and today I'm going to be both summarizing and reviewing the 24th novel in Terry Pratchett's Discworld series, The Fifth Elephant, starting with the summary. Dwarf legend claims that a fifth elephant crashed into the Discworld, splitting continents and raising mountains. There is unrest in Ankh-Morpork. The dwarves are rioting, and Carrot won't tell Vimes why. Vimes and Carrot meet with the patrician. At the meeting, Vimes discovers that the new Low King will be crowned in Bonk in a few weeks, and that this has been the source of the unrest in the dwarf community. Vimes is being sent to Uberwald with some of his officers as an ambassador to negotiate for certain imports, like fat, to be sent to Ankh-Morpork and to enjoy a short vacation with his wife. Carrot takes Vimes to the Dwarf Bread Museum and shows him a replica of the Scone of Stone, which the Low King is crowned on and sits on to give his judgments. That's on page 31. Carrot explains that Rhys Ryson, a modern thinker, has been chosen as the new Low King, upsetting more traditional mountain dwarves who assumed the more traditionally minded Albrecht Albrechtsen would have become their next ruler. After their departure from the museum, Carrot informs Vimes that the replica scone has been stolen. The Watch begins investigating the theft. Carrot informs Vimes that a tradesman named Wallace Sanki has been murdered. Carrot is to look into it. It's clear that he will be in charge of the watch while Vimes is away. Vimes and company set out for Uberwald. It is believed the fifth elephant's carcass became a mixture of fat, gold, iron, and other metals. The Watch begins investigating Sanki'S murder. After receiving a message, Carrot resigns from the Watch. He leaves Colin in charge until Vimes' return. Carrot enlists Gaspod's help to track Angua. She has gone missing, and Carrot believes she might have headed to Uberwald. The Watch begins to wonder if someone tried making a mold of the replica stone. While on Angua's trail, Gaspod discovers that she's traveling with another wolf, a male. Gaspod informs Carrot. They pick up the pace. Colin becomes both an increasingly strict and paranoid captain. He often punishes other watchmen for minor infractions they did not commit. The Watch recovers the replica Scone of Stone. Vimes receives a message from the Watch updating him on current developments. Angua finds Gaspod and Carrot. Vimes' traveling party is ambushed. The bandits are defeated. Vimes confirms his suspicions. Inigo Skimmer, the clerk who accompanied him and his party to help negotiate trade between Uberwald and Ankh-Morpork, is not really a clerk but an assassin sent by the patrician to protect Vimes. Carrot discovers that Angua has been traveling with an old friend, a wolf named Gavin, who had come to Ankh-Morpork to warn her about what was going on, and his adopted pack. Angua explained she left abruptly because what she had heard would have taken too long to explain. The news Gavin told her was personal, about family. Carrot informs her he resigned from the Watch, that Colin is in charge, and Vimes is headed for Uberwald. They prepare to set out together. The Watch's numbers dwindle under Colin's care. Napi forms a guild of watchmen and protests to Colin's treatment of the watchmen. Several watchmen join. Vimes and company arrive in Bonk. Vimes discovers that the Scone of Stone has been stolen. Angua tells Carrot about her brother Wolfgang, a traditionalist werewolf who drove her other brother away and killed her sister, a eunuch or werewolf trapped in a single form, because she made the blood impure. That's on page 194. Angua claims Gavin told her that Wolfgang is plotting something with some of the dwarves and must be stopped. Vimes and company arrive at the Ankh-Morpork consulate and discover that the acting consul, Mr. Sleeps, has vanished. Vimes and Cheery head into the local dwarven mines. Vimes can sense that something bad is going on. The dwarves deny that the scone has been stolen. It is well guarded. After meeting the Low King, Vimes continues to meet with local leaders for diplomatic reasons. Vimes realizes the von Uberwalds, Angua's parents, didn't want to talk about her. Upon returning to the embassy, Vimes discovers that Igor had been injured. He had been unloading the coach when he had fallen or been attacked. Although the coach's interior is in disarray, nothing seems to have been stolen. Vimes discovers that the nearest clacks has been taken out of commission and its workers have vanished. Vimes, Lady Sybil, Detritus, and Cheery attend a ball thrown in the Low King's honor. Vimes discovers that the scone is being held ransom and will be destroyed unless Rhys renounces his claim to the throne. Vimes determines that the dwarf's guard system isn't as secure as they believe it is, and that there are several ways the scone could have been stolen without too much trouble. Vimes and Detritus rescue Rhys from an assassination attempt. A chandelier came close to falling on him. Vimes is thrown in a cell. He is suspected of being behind the attempt on the king's life and in trouble for touching the king. After learning that Skimmer is dead and that Detritus and Cheery are under house arrest at the embassy, Vimes makes his escape. Vimes comes face to face with Wolfgang and his pack and realizes that the scone's replica was stolen to make a copy, which was later smuggled to Uberwald in one of Ankh-Morpork's coaches. Igor was unloading it when one of Wolfgang's pack came to collect it. The werewolf wants to incite war between traditionalists and progressive dwarves and had framed Vimes. Vimes is forced to play the game to survive and is given a head start. The werewolves chase Vimes. Vimes discovers that Inigo and Mr. Sleeps were killed by Wolfgang. When all hope seems lost, Carrot, Angua, Gavin, and his pack rescue Vimes from the werewolves. Angua explains, "My family are trying to upset the coronation. They're working with some dwarves that don't want. They want to keep Uberwald separate." That's on pages 344 to 345. Vimes realizes that the scone was never actually stolen. Vimes returns to the embassy and frees Cheery and Detritus. Vimes discovers that his wife has been taken by the werewolves. Vimes and company rescue Sybil. Wolfgang breaks Carrot's arm. Gavin is killed by Wolfgang. Seraphine, Angua's mother, gives Vimes a copy of the stone. Vimes and Sybil turn themselves into the dwarves along with the replica stone. Vimes realizes the real scone wasn't stolen, it was destroyed, smashed and ground up and mixed with the sand in the cave. That's on pages 393 to 394. The Low King reveals that all the scones are fake because even the very best dwarf bread crumbles after a few hundred years. That's on page 400. They need to be replaced periodically. Sybil helps Vimes to negotiate for good rates on fat imports to Ankh-Morpork. Sybil informs Vimes she's pregnant. Wolfgang attacks the embassy and kills Igor before escaping. Vimes pursues Wolfgang and kills him with a signal flare. Vimes and company attend the coronation. Angua and Carrot return to Ankh-Morpork. Carrot begins putting the Watch, whose numbers had been severely diminished, back in good working order. Vimes and Sybil return to the city at a much more leisurely pace. And that's the end of the novel. Now, on to my book review. When I first started reading this novel, I felt a little overwhelmed and frustrated by all of the different plot lines. There was unrest in the dwarf community because of the newly elected Low King, and all of the political drama surrounding that. The murder of Sanki, the theft of the scone, and another handful of murders came shortly thereafter. It felt like too much, and I was frustrated because I don't feel as though Vimes or his underlings need to solve a murder mystery in every book he's in. Theft is fine. Excessive parking tickets, some sort of illegal underground ring of trade. There are a million things a policeman could be dealing with that don't involve murder. Then, Vimes arrives in Uberwald and more murders take place, but the original murders are more or less forgotten. The dwarf's affairs and Uberwald's unstable social environment take over, and then suddenly, toward the end of the novel, all of the murders are rapidly solved and all of the puzzle's pieces come together. I've mentioned this before in other Discworld reviews. Sometimes it feels like Pratchett drops a few threads, be it in the form of plot or character, suddenly remembers that he has done so, picks it up again, and wraps things up extremely abruptly, and it's rather jarring. If there was more of a continual thread throughout, I think I would have been happier when it came to the plot's composition, even though I'm beyond over the murder mystery aspect of Vimes' novels. I also felt as though this novel's plot suffered from several slow patches, and I would have loved if things were sped up just a little. It had some really entertaining and humorous moments, however, which I appreciated. I also wasn't particularly fond of any of the new characters Pratchett introduced in this novel, with perhaps the exception of Gavin. Wolfgang was a prime example. His desire to keep his bloodline strong and destroy anything he deemed impure or unworthy reminded me a lot of the unsavory individuals who arose during World War II. The portions of the novel he was involved in weren't easy to read from the standpoint of one's comfort, and his descent into an even deeper state of madness, which took place toward the end of the novel, when he can be seen going on a crazed, murderous rampage, certainly didn't help matters. Finally, I felt as though the Werewolf'S motivations weren't as clear as they could have been. We know that they worked with some dwarves in order to incite a war between traditional and progressive dwarves, but I feel as though Pratchett failed to go the extra mile and explain their motivations for helping them. We know that the werewolves want to keep Uberwald separate, but we're really never told why that is, specifically, and are forced to work it out based off context. Essentially, the werewolves want Uberwald to remain divided, essentially feudal, because it provides them with the most power. Overall, I gave this book a 2.9 out of 5-star rating. And there you have it, my summary and review of Terry Pratchett's The Fifth Elephant. What did you think of my review, and what did you think about this novel? Please let me know down below in the comments. I always like to know what you guys think. And if you like what you saw here today, please smash that like button until it's blue. Subscribe, ring that bell so you'll know what's up, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye, guys!